Woohoo! Happy Friday! It is so good to be up this early. I've got great guests this morning. Hello, Carlin Robinson.
Hi, Babz. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You know, Carlin Robinson is Associate Director of Venues and Exhibitions at Yale Schwarzman Center. And Soleil,
Hi, good morning.
let me see, Piviger,
Piverger.
Piverger. She's a Yale student, class of 27. She's an art major from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn in the house. So there's this exhibit that's coming up, Carlin. Tell me about it. Now, it says Yale Schwarzman Center transforms into a youth art hub, showcasing 53 artists.
Yeah, so this spring we had 5 new exhibitions, and they're all showcasing student artwork from the Yale University undergraduate and graduate students, but some New Haven High School students as well. And Soleil's project is one of them. Her project is actually the first sculpture installation in the Rotunda. So I'll let her talk about that. But our other exhibitions are in our gallery spaces. So we have a project that is The View from Here, which is something that we do with the Yale Center for British Art, which is the New Haven High School students that take photography. Then we display their artwork in our building. And then we also had an open call exhibition that became Rooted in Heritage, Art Across Yale's Cultural Centers, which is focusing on artwork, photography, drawings, paintings of students that are part of the multicultural communities at Yale University. And we also had an MFA showcase, a photography student from School of Art that has their own gallery on a lower level of the Schwarzman Center. And we have a digital exhibition. So we had so many projects this year for a total of 53 students, which is really, really, really exciting.
So how did this come about? Tell me, what was the thinking around this? Because that looks like a lot of coordination.
I think we started with one. I knew I was going to do at least one project, and then that grew into 2, and then 3, and then Soleil reached out, and it was just one of those things in my head. I was like, oh, this is fine. Let's just do all 5 of them at once. But it worked out in a way of just like an overflowing of like creativity and inspiration. And I mean, between like maximalism and minimalism, for me, like I'm going to go with like, the bigger option. So it was nice to just have like a plethora of art everywhere. So it's been really fascinating to see like the reaction towards that, because I think people are also like learning to view the Schwarzman Center as someplace that they can see visual art.
So Soleil, what are you? So you're a student. Wait, what's your major? Because every time I talk to a student that brings me some kind of art conversation, they're like, I'm gonna be a nuclear scientist, but I play the drums on the side. Like, so what's your story?
Well, I'm a sculpture major, so I'm an art major with a concentration in sculpture, and I did the French certificate. So I started taking art classes my freshman year and have been pursuing that.
Now, did you know you were always an artist? Like when you came up through, elementary school and college, grade school, did you know that you were an artist, and did your parents feed that?
My parents were always really supportive of sort of whatever I felt most drawn to. And so in middle school, I went to a school in Brooklyn that had a lot of sort of arts happening. And so I was already exposed to that. And then in freshman year of high school, I visited one of my friend's ceramics classes and just really enjoyed it and was like, this is funny. I've never felt this way doing something before. And so then I just, took ceramics every year and performance art every year of high school, and then applied to college as an art major. Yeah.
So Carlin, how long is this exhibit up? And what made you cap it at 53 and not like 60 or 70 or 100?
That was just for who responded to the call of making artwork. I mean, it certainly could have been, oh my gosh, can you imagine 100 artists? That would be insane.
Knowing you, Carlin,
Maybe
I
one,
can
that'll be the
imagine.
next one for sure. Like it will only get bigger. But so Soleil's installation is installed through June 7th. So we really encourage people to stop by. And she had some modifications yesterday that look really, really great on the sculpture. And what's exciting about Call to Connect is that the idea that people are able to interact with the sculpture. I mean, like really being our first interactive sculpture at the Schwarzman Center, it gives people a place to kind of like stop and pause in the rotunda. Cause like, in that area of the building, people are really just passing through. But Soleil's sculpture, I think, actually gets people to pause and consider it, because when was the last time that anybody saw a payphone, for one thing? And then like even hearing the ringing in the rotunda is really, really great. So I like that it gets people to pause and listen and take a beat. And then our other exhibitions that are in our gallery spaces are going to be installed through December. So plenty of time for people to come and see them and come back and come and see them, especially since there are so many. So you don't have to see all 5 at once. You can take your time and, kind of slowly digest it.
I love this. So tell me about the New Haven student connection. I understand the Yale component because
Mhm.
Yale's campus, but how did you connect to the local students?
So that's something that the Yale Center for British Art has done since COVID. And I think it was something that started during COVID as an answer is how can we engage with the community while we're all at home and still kind of, exposing people to art in the way that people can speak to it. So the program was started for New Haven high school students, and they're usually, I believe, juniors or seniors. And this year's cohort, which had about 9 different students, you can apply to be a part of the program. And really the only entry that you need is like an interest in photography. You are not required to be a photographer. You don't have to have a fancy camera at all. You really only just need a smartphone. So we all technically have a camera like in our backpack or our back pocket, like 24/7. And just even with an iPhone, you can take really stunning photos. And that's what they learn in this class, the principles of photography, as well as the history and how they can express themselves through this mode of art through the program that they have at YCBA with the various staff that they have that are part of the program. And we became involved a bit 2 or 3 years ago to then display those photos at the Schwarzman Center. So having this exhibition piece to it is really nice so that they can see their artwork on the walls in the building.
I love it. So Salil, tell me the inspiration for your piece. I'm gonna go see it now. I'm intrigued because the rotunda is such a interesting big space, and I like to see something in there. So I can't wait to see this.
Thank you, Babs. Well, the inspiration came from the playground talking tube. So I was thinking about, at the playground, how they have the, pipes that connect and children can communicate across and sort of engage in make believe and acts of play at that site. I was curious how to, simplify the phone and our idea of the phone right now, because I think there's so many options, and especially like on college campuses I think it does affect our social lives, and I thought it would be a good way to sort of return to the tactile and the analog with the payphone, so that there's this sort of more thoughtful engagement with the phone as an object. And so it's been amazing to witness people using it over the past few weeks and hearing, because you can hear recorded conversations that people have on the phones. I've been like dialing people's conversations, and all you have to do is dial 123 to hear the sound of a live connection. So if you dial 123, you hear a randomized recording from one of the live connections that's taken place. And so many people have been either one, really surprised because you pick up one phone and then you don't always know that someone will pick up on the other end. So it's like, whoa, oh, hi, what's your name? What's your name? And, I met someone named Hilda who was like on the other end who I didn't know. And so that was really rewarding. But then also, people actually, adults and children playing in make believe. And it's sort of funny how, it started off with the playground talking tube, and then it sort of has returned to that, even though, it's a really bulky sort of complicated payphone object, there's this sort of simple system that's brought a lot of nostalgia and novelty and play.
Because I was going to say, so that's how I grew up, girl. I grew up with a hard phone in the
Yeah.
house, on the street. Like there are pay phones and pay booths all over, telephone
They
booths
used to
all
be
over the place.
everywhere.
So,
Yeah.
so they, Carlin, to hear her talk about this, like, I don't know, like dinosaur times, it's just, it's so funny. But
Well, that's what's interesting about it. Like a lot of people, I've once saw, it was a father and his daughter. She was maybe like 4 years old, and he was standing there, like kind of like explaining, like this is a phone, and like showing her how to use it. So it's just so crazy that some people like may have never even seen a payphone, and that's what I think is really interesting about hearing the ringing, even for our own phones. Like so many times, like my phone is generally like on silent. I don't remember the last time I heard my ringtone. So to hear just like the ringing in that space, I just feel like I mean, it literally stops you in your tracks because you're like, what is that sound? And we just don't hear it anymore. And
yeah,
the buttons and everything, like, it's just so, it's nice.
I think you hit on something, so that is tactile. Like you have to physically do. You have to do like just pick up the phone. You got to touch the numbers. You got to put it to you got to talk into it. So that's pretty. I mean, you're so young to be that inspired by something that so is not part of your everyday practical life. Like your parents maybe might remember a telephone, a pay phone. Your
Yeah.
grandparents definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma certainly has some stories about payphones in New York and, being surrounded and wild stories. But I think that with the payphones, because it's maybe more complicated for a young person to use today, if you're with a friend or you see someone in passing, you can ask for help. And you can sort of try to understand the instructions together. And I think that aspect of learning something new as a team is still, it's part of the concept where there has to be human connection involved almost every step of the way. And maybe you could struggle more with the object if you aren't reaching out. And so that's sort of part of it as well.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so her exhibit, Carlin, is up for how long? Till June?
June 7th.
June 7th. And then the rest of the other is this four other exhibitions are up
Four other
till.
exhibitions are up until December 18th.
And so are they spread out through the Schwarzman Center? Like, sort of like to shine the light of truth, like you have to, make your
Yes.
way. And so it's that kind of.
Yeah, so we took up those spaces. So there's the view from here is on our second floor, and then Rooted in Heritage and West of the River are on the lower level. So, and everything is clearly marked. We've got some great wayfinding to help people since we have so many different spaces. And it was a tall order to see like what we were doing after shining a light on truth. So it's been nice to have these different explorations of student art and how people see the world, really.
This must have been fun to curate.
It was. I think it's a nice collaboration. I mean, like with working with Soleil, I mean, it was our first time for sculpture for the rotunda. Like everything about it was new, and I think we had a couple of meetings where like, yeah, let's just try it. There was nothing that we had like, some hard limits, and it's like we can't. I mean, honestly, it's like we couldn't drill to the wall, and she was like, okay, and then we worked around it, and then we learned a lot, and then we installed it, and we were like, oh, we definitely need a sign for this, and it's like, oh, we definitely need to tape this down. Like, it was just a great learning experience to kind of figure those things out. And so I'm like really grateful to Soleil for, I think, also like really being so creative. I hope we're able to work with people like her all the time, because the Schwarzman Center doesn't have like any kind of traditional space. I mean, like our gallery spaces were just kind of like responding to how the building is. And so for the rotunda, it's kind of, difficult to activate, but like a really interesting challenge because you get so many people walking through that space.
So Soleil, do you want to be a working artist? Is that the goal, the dream, the hope?
Yeah, I think that would be really exciting for me. I think, like, as Carlin said with this space, my approach to art making really involves community making. And I like throughout high school, I did a lot of sort of public or social practice art. And so I'd like to continue doing that for sure. And I think that, yeah, I really love it, and it makes the most sense, I think, with the way I think, even though it's very specific. But yeah, yeah.
I loved it. So, Colin, let me take you back a little bit to the Shine the Light of Truth exhibit.
Hmm.
You know, the Black Yale, Black New Haven experience.
Hmm.
That was so well received, don't you think?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And it was quite breathtaking.
It was, and we still actually have two of the large portraits in the stairwells.
Oh, I'm
So
so glad.
on the Commons and Woolsey side, so we kept those installed because they speak so much to the building itself. And so we moved down, we kept those portraits and then the 200 names of the enslaved. And we've put a QR code so people can go to our website and like continue to learn about the project. And we might have a surprise related to it in the fall of this coming year, that just continues that research, because I think it's an important message. It's not like, you close the book and it's done and it's like Black Lives at Yale, you don't have to talk about it anymore. And since it's so connected to our building and the architecture of our building, keeping those portraits installed, and as you're walking through these spaces to see these new exhibitions, you will still see Shining Light on Truth, or at least pieces of it, so that we can continue that history and just letting people know about it, because I think it's really important.
Colin, you must have the coolest job to walk into a space and to reimagine it, however
Yeah.
many times a year you have to reimagine it. Like that has got to be very, very cool.
I will say this is a really great season, the spring, to see all of the different wall spaces activated with like a variety of artwork is so incredibly fulfilling for me, because I think in 2022 or 2023 we had like one tiny exhibition on the lower level, and like look at us now, and there's color everywhere. It's so nice to have like a different balance and view of the artwork throughout the building, because I think it just really speaks to like, the different people that come through our space and attend Yale.
I love it. So do you know the other fellow artists? Do you know, and do y'all talk and have, art kinds of conversations?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few friends who were featured in some of the other exhibitions and people I knew from passing, but the opening reception was a good opportunity to sort of put a face to the artworks. And, I collected stickers. Carlin's wearing a pin for my payphone exhibition. But yeah,
You got swag too?
Oh, we love swag for our
I need something.
exhibitions.
I
We
need
we've got
something.
we've got great stickers and pins. Babs, let me know when you're there.
Yes, we'll give you some. But yeah, so it was such a celebration. I think when the shows all opened on March 31st, because
Mhm.
I don't think everyone sort of realized that there were so many art happenings at the same time, and then you sort of turn around and you see, the beautiful beadwork of like one of your friends, or paintings or photography, and yeah, and I think it all felt very like synchronistic and symbiotic, where when you're walking through, I mean, it's different from the Shining a Light on Truth exhibition, because that was really like you're walking through an archive and a memory of what Yale was and like could continue to be, right? And that was just like so moving for me as a young artist, like walking through that space and thinking about being Black at Yale. And so I think it was interesting and just, a totally different feeling walking through the space. And as you said, it's full of color and it's just this different sort of like liveliness that I think presents this really good transition into like more community making and like looking at how we actually can all fit on these walls and like walk through them together. So, yeah.
So tell me, both of you, we're in this real crazy moment in the United States, well, in the world. And does art have a place in capturing this moment? Do you feel the gravity of the moment in terms of human rights and all? Like, how much of that kind of stuff influences you, and how much of it do you have to be like, okay, I got to tune a little bit of this out to do something else?
I think for me, something that came up for the for all of the exhibitions together, and one of them for Rooted in Heritage, we had the students write artist statements. And despite that exhibition has about, I think, like 30 students that participated because it was an open call. And even though they all have different backgrounds, different experiences, they all, their statements kind of focused on the idea of memory, one, which Soleil is talking about, but then also home and community. And Rooted in Heritage is actually a direct quote from one of the statements. And I thought it was so interesting how many people talked about being rooted in something, being rooted in a community, being rooted in kindness. And despite everything that's going on in the world, like all of these students were saying the same thing and wanting the same thing. And I think that's something that we can all connect to. So like when Soleil is saying, like, for unity, we can unify in the idea of being connected in this idea of kindness, which I know is hard to kind of see in the world, but it really is at the base of all of these artworks and the exploration and where that goes from here.
Yeah, and going off of Carlin's point, I think it's so much like between my exhibition and the other exhibitions up, remembering what connects us and letting that be the sort of guiding light as we move forward. And also, despite the lack of community and lack of connection that we see in the news and in this country, I think that with yeah, I mean, throughout the process of making the payphones, there's this sort of collection process where I have over 150 audio files that were sent to me from people in my family, but also Yale community members and New Haven locals. And there's this sort of interesting time capsule that was made. And, the sound, I asked for the sound of connection. And with my previous payphone sculptures, I was collecting audio at the time of the major protest happening on campus. And so it was interesting, like, while I was, listening back to this project's audio, there wasn't as much the sound of protest as much as there were, people with their friends and doing different things. But I think that as an artist right now, there's a lot of questions about making art within an institution and, what you're allowed to do or not allowed to do or allowed to say or not allowed to say. And I think that by having such a vast array of perspectives, there's this like other sort of tapestry that's being woven that's re-narrativizing us all together and showing how we can stand strong in unity. And it's been really good.
I love it. So Carlin, are there guided tours? Like if I go there today, what happens?
So we encourage everybody to plan their visit. If they go to our website and you can see the hours and also let us know that you're coming, because sometimes if it's during the year as students are going in and out the building, it's pretty easy to get in, but on the weekends, sometimes it's harder to get in through those doors. So just let us know you're coming and we can have our staff meet you and let you in if you're coming with a big group. We don't have any full official tours like we did with Shining Light on Truth, but it's one of those things that if you are going to be there for the entire day and you want to see all of the new exhibitions, just send us an email and I'd be happy to meet anybody that wants to learn a little bit more about the exhibitions for a more guided experience. But for every project that we do, we've got gallery cards explaining the artist's background in the history and letting people know a little bit more about the exhibitions themselves. And we always have a QR code too. So some of the artist statements, like for Rooted in Heritage, are on our website. So you can even learn more about the students that participated.
So Carlin, what was the best part of curating this whole 53 artist exhibition?
I think, and I'm glad Soleil mentioned it, but really the reception. So we had a reception honoring all of the exhibitions, and she's right. I didn't necessarily tell anybody. I said, like, you should come to celebrate your work on this day. And also there are like 4 other ones that we're doing. So it was an interesting way to like celebrate all of these artists. And I too like knew the artwork, had seen, the pictures or the paintings, but connecting the art to like the face of the artist was so gratifying and special. Like it felt like I knew them and it's like, oh my gosh, you're Maya. It's so nice to meet you. I know I've been staring at your artwork for like, the past 2 months, like while we're putting all of the exhibitions together. And so it was so nice. I think there's there's something really important about seeing yourself reflected in your art and on these walls, especially if you haven't exhibited anything before, because it really just places, I don't know, just being able to see the value in your artwork and everybody else witnessing it at the same time, I think is important to any artist at any point in their career, but especially if you're a first year at Yale and you've never displayed your artwork before. Like, our galleries are open to the public and so many people can see their artwork. Like, we're really excited for Soleil's installation because it'll be up through commencement and reunions. And so all of these people, I couldn't even count the number of people that are going to see these students' artworks throughout the building, and how amazing of an opportunity that is.
So Lay, have your family come through yet? Are they coming through soon, or have they seen it, and how proud are they?
They're so sweet.
They came to support for the reception, and I talk to my parents every other day, or every day, twice a day, and they're really proud. And I think what's also so exciting for them is to see how it engages the community and other people, because it sort of goes beyond just like, oh, this is like my kid's art, but it's like, I saw someone, on the phone the other day, and they seemed so surprised, and it reminded me of the feeling of picking up an old payphone for the first time in, 25 years. And there's this sort of universal object, or, artifact, that's being used, that I think they resonate with, and in a way that's exciting, just to see your parents sort of react as a sort of viewer of the artwork. Yeah.
All right, so you got a little more time here in New Haven. You graduate next year. Do you have a sense of where you're going to go? Because New Haven is a great place to do art.
I know, it's amazing. I spent this past summer in New Haven working on the phones, and it's like a beach town too, because people, it's amazing. I loved it, and I don't know what my post grad plans are, but I hope to keep making art, and the way that I approach it, it's sort of, wherever I end up making it is probably where I'll be for a certain amount of time. And I'm from New York, so that's nice because it's near New Haven, but it's also an art hub, and so we'll see what ends up happening. But I hope to keep bringing people together, for sure.
I love it. So, Carlene, is this kind of exhibit? Is this one that you keep and you do like every 2 years, or every year we're gonna do this, this kind of collaborative artist thing in this way, or do you just like, yeah, I did it this time, we're gonna do something completely different the next time?
I think it'll be interesting for the idea of sculpture installations. I'm curious. Well, I already have like one request that's kind of like cooking, but I'm curious how Soleil's sculpture is going to inspire other students and want to use the rotunda in a similar way. I think that's kind of the thing that happens at the Schwarzman Center. You do something for the first time, and then it inspires like the next kind of like evolution of that idea. And it's like, oh, well, how can I do this in that space, or how can I do it differently? So I'm just here for the ride. I'm just here to see how people are, making art, and if they want to collaborate with us, and how they can use our spaces. I think every time we do something new and kind of elevate it and change the experience. So who knows what will be coming
I think
next
you're
year.
right, Carlin. I think people will see Soleil's sculpture and will see that rotunda in a very different way.
Yes. So I'm excited. And maybe it'll be Soleil. I don't know. Maybe like it'll be another new sculpture.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell people where they can, what the website is, so people can go and come and see all these 53 young artists.
So you're going to want to visit us at schwarzman.yale.edu, and then the address of the building is 168 Grove Street, but you're going to want to check our location and hours just to make sure that we're open, and see, because through commencement, sometimes there's some closures just for all of those big ceremonies. So you just want to make sure that the building is open and everything, and that we can meet you if it's on the weekend, and just let us know if you're coming by. And then you have plenty of time.
I love this. So call to connect. That's Soleil's installation.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
The view from here, accessing art through photography. And those are the New Haven High School students.
Yep.
Okay. West of the River, photography by the Yale MFA thesis folks. Rooted in heritage, art access across Yale's cultural centers, and storyboard, poetry, and the everyday, which we didn't really talk too much about.
That's our digital exhibition.
Okay. And so it's focused on the theme of poetry, showcasing audio, video, written work, and visual arts on display. That's pretty cool. That's very modern. That's very modern times.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of old school and modern times.
That's true. We're doing it all.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank y'all for getting up early this morning to about this wonderful exhibition of 53 collaborative artists and these 5 Carlene, you're gonna have to outdo yourself every time now.
I know, and I don't know how I'm gonna do like more than 5. I have to really think about it.
Because you've upped the ante for yourself.
I know, probably too high for like in one leap, but we'll see.
Now,
next, I'll be on the outside of the walls of the Schwarzman Center on the outside.
Boy,
I'm just kidding. That would be cool, but like actually.
Now you know your Schwarzman people are listening, so
I know.
So they already taking
They'll
notes.
support me.
Can we do
this? Some projections.
Listen, projections is all the rage right now,
which
would be really, really cool and provocative. Are you thinking about? I don't know how your season runs. I don't know if you run with the academic calendar, but do you think that far in ahead about what you're going to do next?
Yes, I'm already planning for what comes after. So it'll be spring semester 2027. But so with the timing of our exhibitions, I'm always really mindful of what's happening on campus. So like how we're saying Soleil sculpture, we're going to have it up through commencement and reunions. But then something that we're able to do with the other exhibitions, the vinyl exhibitions, is that it's going to be up through Camp Yale when the students come back and people are on campus with their parents. It'll be up for family weekend in the holidays. Because I think how I was saying, it's really important for these artists to see their artwork on the walls, but also as Soleil is saying, it's really great if their families can come see it as well. So giving it enough time when people are back on campus with their parents and their family, I think is just a really nice touch so that they can see their artwork and see that it's a real exhibition. We support it like a museum would, and that this is just, a great way for them to support in their artwork, whether or not they become artists after they graduate.
I've enjoyed this conversation so much. So I can't wait to see your exhibition. It's probably going to bring back a whole bunch of memories for me, because there are no phone booths anywhere except maybe London. So it'll be really nice to sort of revisit that particular time, my coming of age time. And Carlin, I'm telling you, you're pretty badass over there with everything that you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Pretty badass there, my dear. So, well, thank you all so much for getting up early and getting people excited about seeing this. And I would suggest, get over there and see it before, in between all the commencement stuff, because, we will be overflooded with folks coming to see their babies and all the reunions and all of that. So now is the sweet spot.
Great.
I'm going to make my way over. So thank you both. Good luck to you, Soleil. I hope I run into you again and talk to you a little bit more. Carlene, you are always welcome.
Thank you so much, Babz. We really enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoyed this morning. This is a great way to start the weekend. So
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Harry. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Babz.
Thank you.